Welcome to All Things Retreat Podcast. I'm Holly Porter, your host and CEO of Retreat R&R. With over 25 years of experience in designing transformative retreats, I'm here to share insights and inspiration to help you create extraordinary experiences. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, you'll find valuable ideas here. Enjoy the ride. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show today. Welcome back if you've been here before. And if this is your first time joining us, we're excited that you found us and landed on our page. And today we have another amazing guest. Her name is Railey Molinario. She is the founder of RI, called Relationship Intelligence, and a global thought leader in human connection. Abandoned at birth and raised in a home marked by trauma, Railey began her healing by mastering the relationship she had with herself. That journey sparked a mission to teach others how to lead with emotional clarity, prioritize self-worth, and build deeply fulfilling lives. Today, Railey is an international speaker and relationship expert, helping coaches, couples, and companies create aligned intentional relationships. Her work blends personal development, psychology, and leadership, and it has been featured in Forbes, Cosmopolitan, Yahoo Finance, and the BBC. She's passionate about supporting coaches in avoiding burnout and living fully by infusing retreats, businesses, and daily life with the power of RI. Welcome to the show, Railey.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So where do you come from?
I'm originally from the US, hence the accent, but I'm currently living in England with my gorgeous Italian husband.
Ooh, this sounds so sexy. I love that.
It's nice. It is.
Yeah, that's fun to have different cultures to blend together. And I love learning about different cultures. It's so fun. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful, wonderful experience getting to travel around the world and getting used to exploring all of these different cultures and meeting different people. It's, for a relationship expert, it's a dream.
Oh, totally. So share a little bit about why relationship expert? Why, out of all the things you could have done, why that for you?
It feels like my calling. And I'm not sure if I believe in destiny and we were meant for one thing in life, but I do feel that my experience in life has allowed me to align with this profession. When I was born, I was abandoned by my father, as you said in the intro, and I never saw healthy relationships growing up, but I knew that I wanted them. And so I had to learn myself how to build a beautiful relationship with myself and then build beautiful relationships with other people. This was the key that was missing in my life, and it was the thing that was preventing me from being this holistic success. And it's been such an adventure. I love it.
Yeah. What did it take for you to come, and what did you have to go through? Because I know you had a lot of trauma childhood, it sounded like, to get to that point where you loved your first self before you could love others as much. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I was labeled as gifted as a child. So I was academically advanced. I excelled in school. And this gave me what I call book smarts. And then I left home when I was 16, and this gave me street smarts. And so I was on the path, I was checking all the boxes, and I became a success on paper. I had a house, a car, I was studying 2 degrees in university, but I was absolutely miserable. And it got to the point where one day I decided that I was going to take my life. And in that moment, I realized that I actually didn't want my life to end. I just wanted that experience to be finished. And I wanted to create something new for myself. And I knew that that started with the relationship I had with myself, because I was suffering because of my own mind, my own experience. And I didn't understand, self-love. It sounded like this very like hippie idea at the time. But I had to really learn how to value myself and figure out what I really wanted out of life. What kind of life did I want to create? And what kind of relationships did I want to have? And that took me really digging deep and rewiring that conversation that I was having in my head. I was constantly telling myself that I was going to fail, that I wasn't good enough, because these were the things that I learned from my childhood. So I had to rewrite that tape and learn how to build trust and have compassion and empathy, the same things we want when we're talking about relationships with others. We want to have
Yeah.
those things also with ourselves.
Oh, beautiful. Well, let's talk about self-care for a minute. I know for me, I had a salon and spa as one of my companies. I've had lots of startups and we had it for 20 years. And I remember really being jealous of those women that actually did self-care, especially like in my salon. I wasn't mean or I didn't probably project that, but I remember feeling like, dang, that's diapers or that's, as I'm raising children and I'm thinking, gosh. And then I realized and stepped back and thought, wow, they are the smart ones that they actually took that time to take care of themselves. And we can take care of ourselves without spending money and a lot of money.
Mhm.
There's so many things you can do that don't cost anything to help yourself, from the inside out. And I'd love to talk about that in your work that you do with your people. How do you find that importance when you've got those busy people that are overwhelmed and they aren't taking time for themselves, they're just spread thin? What are you doing to get that point across to them how important that is?
The first thing we want to do is really get clear about what is our vision for our life, our vision for our business, our vision for our home environment, because a lot of times we get so caught up in the doing, we forget about what it is that we're actually doing all of this for. And so when we're saying, I want to create a beautiful business, I do understand, as a business owner, it is very stressful, especially in the beginning when you're getting your feet wet. But we want to think about how are we going to be the most effective. So I want to be a business owner, but I want to be a business owner long term. And I want my business to have long-term success. And that's going to require me being the best version of myself, showing up as the best version of myself. So I say this a lot to moms, and it's the same for moms, it's the same for CEOs, it's the same for business owners. When you fill your cup up first, then you're able to give more. So like if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're running around and you don't have time for a shower and you haven't eaten anything all day, what kind of mom are you showing up as? This idea that we're going to give it all to the children. Or if you're a CEO and you're just working, you have no boundaries and you're working 24 hours a day, what kind of person are you showing up as when you're with your clients, when you're making those business deals? You're rushed, you're scattered, you're all over the place. So we want to really understand that the most important relationship we have is first the ones with ourselves, because then we can show up and give to others or give to our business or give to our children. That's how we're going to be the most successful. Because if we're running on empty, we're just wasting a lot of time. We're wasting a lot of energy. We're actually not being the most efficient. And especially
Well,
for
you
women,
can't pour. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. So especially for women, it's really important for us to refuel and look in and check in with ourselves, make sure that we fill up first, and then we can go after those things that we want.
Yes. Yeah. We can't pour from an empty cup is what I was thinking. And
Exactly.
also it's the same as the oxygen mask. You have to put the oxygen on you first so that you have your
Hmm.
breath to be able to assist other people. It's just,
Hmm.
what does it take to have you catch your breath? For me and all my long COVID stuff that I've been through in my life, breath means everything to me nowadays. For me, self-care really shifted when I did get sick and was really a healthy person and then had to take healthcare became my self-care because there wasn't a balance to throw both in when it was, my hyperbaric takes 90 minutes. It's like, do I work out that day or do I go in the hyperbaric? Yeah, and I could
Hmm.
stretch and stuff in there, but it's those choices of what's going to matter. And so for me, they were almost the same, even though they're not. They were almost the same at that point of my life when I was really, just trying to get my health back so that I'd be, because the same thing. It's like there's a mental health and there's a physical health, and they all go together, don't they?
Exactly. Exactly. And it's really important to, if you have a relationship with a partner, you need to nourish that relationship by showing up, by building trust, by being there. And that's the same what we want to do with ourselves. And we don't think about it that way. We don't actually think about having a relationship with ourselves. I am my own best friend. I check
Mm.
in with myself. How are you doing? How was your day? How can I support you tomorrow even stronger? Is there anything that you need right now? Is there anything that's overwhelming with, you start to become your own therapist in some sense.
Yeah.
You want to just check in and support yourself and not run yourself too thin. If I went to my husband and I gave him a list of 1,000 things to do and said, you have 24 hours to do it, I would feel guilty, because he would be running around and he would not eat and he wouldn't go to the bathroom and he would be trying to get all that done. And at the end of the day, he would feel guilty that he didn't. He would feel, like he didn't show up, like he didn't perform. He would feel bad. He would bring that energy into the next day. And so the same thing happens when we do that to ourselves. When we don't give ourselves realistic expectations, when we don't check in, when we don't build trust, those are issues that are going to show up. And actually, it's a form of self-sabotage. So we want to treat ourselves with that respect, with that compassion, and say, I trust myself that I'm going to give today 100%. And some things are going to go well and some things aren't going to go well, but I trust that I'm going to give it 100%. And that includes giving myself breaks, checking in with myself, and that self-care that you were talking about.
Yeah. What is a typical morning? I know some people are morning people, some people are evening people, and that's how they can fit in their exercise. What's a morning look like for you? Are you a morning or a night person?
It's funny that you asked that because my morning routine was just featured in Glamour magazine. Um, I have a 5 hour morning routine. It's long. It's very long. So I wake up at 4 a.m. I know it's very early. My husband and I wake up at 4. We usually will have like a really quick coffee and then we'll go to the gym. We usually do about an hour and a half at the gym. I do think it's really important to look after my physical health, my mental health, my spiritual health, and fill my cup up first, as I said. So then when we get back from the gym, we do meditation, we do a little bit of breath work, and all of this without checking our phones. We use our phones, for music at the gym, so we're not
Right.
answering emails, we're not getting into the depths of the day because our days are quite long. So we want to
Yeah.
make sure that we are empowered and we have that inspiration and that motivation every single day before we start tackling things because, then it gets so crazy with phone calls and emails and things like that. And again, I'm building that relationship with myself first, myself, and then my husband, and then the world, so that I feel like I have the strength to make it through the craziness of every day.
I love that, Riley. I think you're living your life in intention, but what I love what you said was that you are leading by example. So you're practicing what you preach, which is a huge a pet peeve of mine. Don't do as I say, not as I do. You're doing
Hmm.
as you say. And
Yeah.
I just think that's such an important piece for people to live in their integrity. It's like hiring a health coach that is 100 pounds overweight.
Hmm.
That doesn't make sense. Like how, and not saying that, there's not health issues involved or anything, but it's like, don't go out practicing and teaching what you haven't mastered. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And it is to the point where recently I did have a check-in with myself and I said, Riley, how are you? And I have a meeting with myself every week. I take myself to lunch and I have a business meeting. I bring my iPad and I go through some questions to brainstorm and journal about my experience as a business owner. And
Yeah.
my life in general. So I do a little bit of business, a little bit of personal. And I realized the other week that I am going through some of the ups and downs of being a first-time entrepreneur. My business has scaled to 6 figures, but with that comes responsibility and some emotional strains and things like that. And then moving to that next level of I'm doing 2 TED Talks that are coming up, and one in October, one in November. There is a lot going on. And so when I had that meeting with myself, I said, I think it's time for me to get a coach. I
Yeah.
am supporting people and, I stay in my lane with relationships and that's amazing. But I always forget what the phrase is, but it's like the person who knows everything knows that they know nothing or something like that. And it's, as an expert, I know that I have my expertise, but there's
Yeah.
always going to be moments where even I need support. That person who's a wonderful trainer may have a trainer themselves. And so that awareness comes
Yeah.
from checking in with yourself and being your best friend. If your friend was saying, I'm having some of those experiences as a first time entrepreneur, or I'm struggling with my kids, or, whatever that is, you would say, hey, why don't you, go to this person for support, or have you talked to a therapist, or you can talk to me, you lean on them as a friend
Right.
and you look out for them. And so you want to do that same thing, as I said, with yourself.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate expression of self-care is to look after yourself, check in, have the awareness of what it is that you need, and then act on that and self-soothe by supporting yourself with whatever tools you have.
So important. A couple of things I wanted to mention while you were saying that is I believe coaches need coaches. And
Mm,
if you're interviewing a coach or you're researching a coach, find out, like, that's a huge question to ask because it's a big red flag. If they're not paying for their up leveling and support, then I would question that of hiring them. And the other thing is, there's been times when I've outgrown every coach I've ever hired, which I just need to keep going higher. I just need to find someone that's where I want to
yeah.
go. Like, look at where you want to be, and you don't hire someone less than that, right? You just look, okay,
Mhm.
where are they and where do I want to be? Let's see if there's a match. But there was a time when I was just so coached out. I was like, it was nauseating. And I was just frustrated with that world prior to COVID. And I decided to put together my own mastermind, and it wasn't even a paid mastermind. I just grabbed four other women. We had 5 in one and 4 in another. I did 2 separate ones over about a 4-year span. And at first we just did a 12-week thing commitment, because if they're not in alignment, or you find that maybe there's one person that's bringing the group maybe not where it needs to be, if you do the 12 weeks, then it was something you could get out of. It was like everybody committed to 12 weeks. And if there were 6 people, for instance, in this one, then you would lead 2 of those. And you could lead, we had an outline and we all agreed on it in the beginning, and then had this discussion and then talked about each person's business for, 15 minutes. And I think we did it once. I think we only did it once a month, but we did it for like, I don't know, 90 minutes or 2 hours. It was a chunk of time, so we could really progress. And then we just communicated through text. And I'll tell you what, that felt so good at that time in my life. It's just figuring out what feels good. So if you are looking for something and you can't find it, if you're a creator, go create it. Like, figure it out on your own. Be the leader.
Exactly.
I always want to be the dumbest one in the room, because I want to make sure that I'm learning myself and I'm growing myself. And if you're just at a stagnant place, it doesn't feel very good. If you're doing all the things that you need to do with what we've all been, Riley and I have just been talking about and sharing, and she's been giving those great tips. And I hope you're writing some of them down if you're listening. If you're driving, I hope you're not writing them down, but save this and come back to it, because I think she's given us some great things, especially the morning routine. I think how we start off our day, and you do way more than I do. I'm telling you, my biggest challenge, Riley, I will say, is my phone. It's just,
Mm,
I always am afraid I'm going to miss an emergency. I mean, we've got 8 adult children and 18 grandkids. So I'm always thinking, if it's not right there and something happens, how would I deal with that if I didn't answer? But you're right. You have to take that time. And I think starting at 4 a.m., who else gets up that early? Not very many people. I usually do 5, but you
yes.
get so much
Close
done.
enough.
So by
Close
the
enough. Yeah.
time, yeah. Anyway, by the time they're all just starting work, you've had half a day's work in on yourself. Now you can start your
Exactly.
work with a full cup, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
So
for
let's
sure.
shift
For
for.
sure.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was
Did
just
you?
saying, absolutely. The idea is, whatever time you wake up, whether that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's just having that time with yourself first. And that can include scrolling if that's a form of pleasure that you get or something that you see as valuable in your day. Maybe you have that perfect algorithm that's just giving you like motivational videos and, whatever is aligned with you. You want to just make sure that that morning routine is something that inspires you and puts you in good energy. It can be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 hours like mine, but the point is just to have that moment where you can build that relationship with yourself first so that you can step out into the world with confidence and calm and empowerment.
Yes. And I think, I mean, sometimes jumping on the phone call with a friend, I'm not so rigid in my schedule. I like flexibility in my schedule because I'm a real estate broker. And so it can change, my day can shift on a dime without my control. All things stop for buyers is what I always say. And it's like, that is a priority because it does pay my bills. And so I just try to figure out and squeeze everything on. I don't want to be so scheduled that I can't shift. And if something comes up, with a family member or grandkids, those relationships are gold to me. And if I'm invited to something and it's a family thing, that I have to really, balance that out. And I just family's important. So it's like knowing what your values are and what you're going to make important in your life, and then the negotiables and the non-negotiables. And it sounds like your morning routine is a non-negotiable for you. So good on you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it has been. And it never gets easier waking up at 4. I will tell you, it's never something where I wake up and I'm like, yes, it does take me a minute or two. But I'm always very proud and very happy with the energy that I have at the end of the day because I was able to build that empowerment at the beginning.
I learned I really, though, I have to listen to my body because I push and push. But if I get a relapse on my health with my long COVID, it can set me. The last one I had was a 10-week relapse. And I
Mhm.
worked through it. I actually traveled through it, but it wasn't fun. All the chronic fatigue came back, and, just a lot of those long COVID symptoms came back. And so it was like, I push. And next time I'm going to like stop when it first starts happening and then look back and say, okay, what can I do for my body today? I love that you have those
Exactly.
meetings for yourself. That's huge
hmm
because it's like, if someone knows, know it all, I always tease my husband, I know it all. He knows everything. Just ask him. But there's truth to that. Like, who knows better than you? I mean, for my medical, who's my best advocate but myself? The doctors aren't going to know me like I know me. And so I think if we just listen to our bodies and our own intuition, spiritually too, those answers just come to you. But I want to say, because I don't want to run out of time before we talk a little bit about retreats, because this podcast is all things retreats. And this leads up to so much that I think will help retreat leaders, because there's so much value in doing retreats and making, either attending or doing them. Most of our listeners are retreat leaders or aspiring retreat leaders. And I think always looking at what kind of tips and what kind of success you can have to help create yours. And I try to bring really valuable guests like you, Railey, on here so that they can start thinking. And so I would say the point of this show is more to realize to take care of yourself so that you'll be able to take care of others, is what the message I'm hearing. What would you say to that?
Absolutely. When we're creating retreats, we want to go to that vision that we have. And the vision isn't just about, I want to have a really great retreat. Why are you doing this retreat? How is this retreat going to enhance your overall life experience? And how do we build that relationship with self, with our highest self, to say, this is going to give me value because of X, Y, and Z? I know a lot of times we can slip into the misconception that retreats are just about making money. You can have both, but we really want to get into what is success for me. If I finished this retreat and it was successful, what would that look like? And a lot of times
Yes.
it's not in the nitty-gritty details that may or may not go right. Um, Sometimes we get overwhelmed because someone arrives late or someone cancels, or it rains and you were supposed to have like an outdoor meditation, and we get overwhelmed and it can become very stressful. But we want to then again go back and say the point of the retreat isn't that everything goes perfectly. People are not giving me a grade, they're not watching me. They're there for a transformation. And
Yes.
again, when you build that trust with yourself, you say, I trust that I'm able to shift and navigate. I trust that people are going to see my humanity, that if it rains during my outdoor meditation, I trust that I'm going to find a plan B. I'm going to make it something that's smooth sailing, maybe make a joke about the rain or make a reference to the rain. And I'm going to be able to handle that. And people are going to see that as confidence. They're not going to see it as failure. And so when we're creating these environments for other people, we want to show up as our highest self. And that's going to include someone who has flaws, someone who isn't going to be perfect, but someone who has the capacity to navigate difficult situations and then communicate that well with others. The whole point of a retreat is to build a relationship. Build a relationship with your clients, then build relationships with each other, and then everyone building a relationship with themselves, which is that transformation. And so again, it includes things like building trust, being able to problem solve, being able to communicate effectively, and overall, we want to focus on that vision of what is a successful retreat. It's when people have transformation, they have a good time, they have fun, it's something memorable and unique. And maybe that rain during the meditation is the best part of the retreat because people are like laughing and playing. So
Yeah.
we absolutely can have an incredible experience when we strengthen that relationship with self.
Perfect. Okay. Perfect way to end this show. The only thing I would add is have a plan B. Don't create a plan B. Before you go, have your backup plan, have some extra activities in case that happens. Have a way you can spin it, into your favor of the transformation for that retreat. Those are good skills to create and learn and have as a retreat leader and to know. So I love that. That's awesome. How would people get a hold of you, Railey?
I would love to connect with you on Instagram. It's at Railey Molinario. And if you send me a little DM with the word blueprint, I will send you my Power Couple blueprint to allow you to create the most beautiful relationships with yourself, with your partner, with a future partner if you're single. I'm so excited to connect with you people.
And can they get that from your website, the free gift?
Not directly. Yes. Yes. If you go to my landing page, RaileyMolinario.com, and you click on coaching, then there's an option on there.
So we'll have that below in the show notes if you're driving or walking or whatever, listening to this, doing your self-care, because this could be part of your self-care. We'll have it there so you can go back and be able to get in contact with Railey. We'll make that easy for you. And until next time, thank you, Railey, for being here and giving us all your wisdom and genius on this subject. I really appreciate you, and we'll see everybody next time.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of All Things Retreat. We hope you're leaving with new ideas, fresh inspiration, and the motivation to take your retreats to the next level. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us grow and reach more retreat leaders like you. And if you have any questions, topics you'd like us to cover, or just want to say hello, send us an email at info@weretreatrnr.com. Follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all the latest updates. Until next time, remember, great retreats start with great intentions. Let's make them extraordinary, one step at a time. Thinking about hosting a retreat? Before you dive in, let's make sure you're really ready. Grab your free Are You Retreat Ready checklist and find out if you've got everything in place from your purpose and pricing to your audience and agenda. Don't guess. Get clear. This quick checklist will show you exactly where you stand and what you need to make your retreat a success. Click the link below in the show notes to grab your gift and take the first step toward hosting with confidence.